Everyone reacts to the combat sports game, but it takes an icon like Mike Tyson's reaction to draw everyone's attention. Heavyweight icon Mike Tyson, who has always believed that the YouTube brothers Jake Paul and his brother Logan Paul breathed new life into boxing, especially when the sport was at its lowest, recently reacted to Jake Paul's fight. Remember, Mike Tyson was astonished seeing Jake Paul knock out Nate Robinson in the Mike Tyson vs Roy Jones Jr. undercard on November 28th. Although Jake Paul is just 2 fights old and undefeated, Tyson still rates him on top and urges boxing promoters to set up a belt for him. It might sound funny and weird to a lot of fans, but Iron Mike has already pitched his idea in doing so. Taking a note of Jake Paul's superstardom and the ability to garner views, Mike Tyson tags it as beautiful, and after showcasing a heavyweight exhibition against Roy Jones Jr., Tyson talked about several things in the post-fight press conference. There's no way he could miss out on Jake Paul's performance. While Jake and Logan are mere beginners in the boxing game, a compliment and consistent support from the legendary Mike Tyson will ultimately boost them for taking more fights in the coming days. Ever since the Paul knocked out Nate Robinson, Jake has been calling out several MMA fighters. Jake made it obvious he wanted to box Dylan Danis, Ben Askren, and even Conor McGregor. Lately, however, he has turned his attention to the Irishman, but will the fight happen in 2021? Let's keep our fingers crossed. Jake Paul, who has full support from Mike Tyson, has been campaigning extensively to fight the ex-UFC champion and even claimed he had sent Conor McGregor a $50 million fight offer. The social media sensation and YouTuber then went on further by private messaging the Irishman online. He wrote, "Take the fight, pussy." The 23-year-old Jake Paul later provided a screenshot and proof that appeared to reveal that McGregor had read the message, but chose to ignore it. And this comes after the 2-0 internet star called the Notorious an Irish c*** and took a swipe at his fiancée Dee Devlin in an X-rated rant. Though Jake Paul's brother Logan Paul, who faces Floyd Mayweather in February, admitted Jake Paul was fucking dumb for going after McGregor. But the younger of the two is showing no signs of relenting his pursuit and even went off on UFC boss Dana White. He told White, "Alright Dana, let me try to understand your logic here. So you're saying you don't want me to fight Conor McGregor because he's one of the greatest fighters in the world and I'm just like a YouTuber or whatever. But then in a statement today you say, oh, I'm thinking about just having Amanda Nunes knock him out, but she's also one of the greatest." Dana, you seem to have this thing where you sort of hate on video gamers or YouTubers and influencers and our boxing and all this stuff. But then you spend half your time hanging out with the Nelk boys, and I know why. It's because they have hella influence over the male audience and you know what's going to promote the UFC. And right now, baby, there's no one in this fucking world who's promoting the UFC as much as me. Tens of millions of views, #1 search results on Google when you type in Conor McGregor, when you type in UFC, when you type in Dana White. So you're not making sense here, Jake Paul concluded. Jake Paul is also all set to appear in boxing legend Mike Tyson's Hot Boxing podcast after sharing pictures and a video of himself in the smoky studio with the baddest man on the planet. The podcast sees Tyson pour his soul into conversations with interesting minds, celebrities and athletes in a studio full of smoke. Paul is set to be one of the future guests, though there is no confirmation on when the episode will be released. We'll be keeping our fingers crossed on this one, and as usual, thank you for watching, see you in our next video.